Yikes! It's like totally time for Mask Monday. The Scooby-Dooby edition. Alright y'all, I'm crazy excited to talk about these Scooby-Doo masks, not only because I'm a huge Scooby fan, but also everyone who worked on this line are some of my favorite sculptors. One thing I really love about them is, to me, they seem like the actual masks that were being worn by the cartoon characters. I'm pretty sure that was the direction that Trick or Treat Studios wanted to go. You know, because usually you're making a mask, you want it to resemble like a living, breathing monster from a movie, but I'm a sucker for masks that are meant to be masks. So let's take a look at a fan favorite, the Creeper. All right, Jeepers, it's the Creeper. One of my favorite episodes from the original Where Are You series. This guy was sculpted by our friend and co-owner of Trick or Treat Studios, Justin Mabry. It's actually the third version of the Creeper that Justin sculpted over the years. He did a really great realistic version a long time ago. But again, I like the direction that they went with this line of masks, making them all look cartoony like the episodes rather than realistic. As you can see, this one's got sculpted hair, which I actually think was a good choice on this mask. I usually like some real hair, but it keeps the shape really well. Just that's how he looks all the time. I like just that expression. He kind of always has that expression. This color green looks amazing, and those bulgy yellow eyes are just killer. So to me, the Creeper is probably the most iconic character in the Scooby-Doo series, at least the most iconic baddie. But a lot of people will probably argue that our next one, the Ghost Clown, is, so let's take a look at him. Okay, so we have the Ghost Clown mask here, sculpted by Russ Lukic. He's one of my favorite sculptors. He's usually the dude that they go to get a likeness of someone and, you know, really realistic looking mask. But you can see here that when he's doing something more simple, it pops really well. He's great at doing that as well. This one has a cool sculpted hat and everything. The hair is also sculpted, which I think was a good choice for this mask. It's not cheaper like the Creeper, but if they did put all this real hair, it'd be a lot more expensive and you'd have to worry about styling it. Whereas with it like this, it just stays like that, like the cartoon. It always has that shape, it always looks like that. So again, I think it was a good choice. They didn't have to worry about hair for our next mask though, because he's made of metal. Let's check out Charlie the Robot. Okay, this mask isn't metal, it's latex. It's actually super thick latex. Every copy we got of this mask are just super thick and squishy. I don't know if they're all like that out there, but this set of masks is just very thick, very cool. Chris Williams sculpted this one. He did a perfect job. The paint job works really well. It's one of my favorite episodes of the show. Of course, this is the one that isn't an actual mask worn by a bad guy, but he's an android, so it's still the one expression that we ever get out of the character. It's just a really fun mask, sculpted very well, paint job's perfect. And speaking of fun masks, I want to get to one of the coolest masks I've seen in a long time, Mr. Hyde. We have here the Mr. Hyde mask. It was sculpted by Kyle Glencross. He's an incredible sculptor. I love that he left in these rake lines for the hat that he sculpted into the mask. It kind of reminds me of like a Blaine Gibson sculpture. It gives it kind of a really great texture, but also keeps it loose and feels handmade. Blaine Gibson worked for Disney for a long time working on their animatronics for the rides. But speaking of sculpting things into the mask, this is actually the first mask that we're talking about that didn't sculpt the hair into the mask, but actually used the mohair on it, which I think was a great choice for this one. The paint job just complements the sculpture so well. You have two different shades of green going on for the base, and those eyes are like popping out of his head with that old bone white with that like brown gradient on the sides. Just a really great job on this mask. It's one of my favorite masks that have come out from any company in a long time. Just super cool. It's almost my favorite of the Scooby-Doo line, but I think Kyle's other mask that he did for Scooby-Doo might take the Scooby snack. So let's take a look at that one. We've got the Wolfman here. This was also sculpted and designed by Kyle Glencross. I think you can tell when you look closely at it. It has like a similar texture and similar design, as well as the paint scheme. The process anyways is similar. This is from probably my favorite episode of Scooby-Doo. It's called the Gaggle of Galloping Ghosts. It's probably my favorite episode because it's kind of like the Universal Monsters episode of Scooby-Doo. You have Dracula and Frankenstein's monster in it, as well as Gypsy Fortune Teller. It's very reminiscent of Universal Monsters, the Wolfman. He's the purple one, and he's called the Wolfman. With the paint job here, it's kind of a darker purple with a lighter purple shade stippled on top. The eyes are very similar to the Mr. Hyde with that white and then the brown gradient. The big difference being the eye cuts are kind of slanted, which just gives it a great look. My favorite part about the sculpt though is the nose. It just has an awesome kind of profile, a great shape to it, really good texture. It's very dog-like, and also the hairline is just perfect on it. The hair is fun, you can tease it out. But I've got one more wolf to show you, and it was designed by one of my favorite artists working today. So let's check out the Big Bad Werewolf. All right, we've got the Big Bad Werewolf here. This one's sculpted by Jasper Anderson, one of my favorite artists. He does a lot of really cool like Disney themed stuff, like Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean. I mentioned Blaine Gibson earlier. He's probably influenced every sculptor that I've talked about, but I think Jasper especially. This mask is really great. I just love it. The hair is super fun to tease out. It's a great color. It's very pretty in the light. And speaking of color, this mint green base with the on my hand. This mint green base with the super bright red eyes. It's just a really great combination. You could stare at this mask all day, and I often do. Speaking of Jasper and werewolves, he also sculpted the Lon Chaney Wolfman mask, which we'll be covering soon in our Universal Monster Mask Monday. But he also sculpted a couple vacuform half masks that I want to show you as well for the Scooby-Doo line. Alright, so we've got the Creeper and the Ghost Clown vacuform editions here. Like I said, both of these were sculpted and designed by Jasper Anderson. The vacuform half mask was made popular back in the day by Ben Cooper. In fact, Jasper even painted up his own version of the Creeper just for himself that looks a lot more like a Ben Cooper mask with like bright neon colors. Be sure to check that out on his Instagram as well. Most people would probably prefer the Creeper in the stock paint job just because it looks more like he does in the show, but it's always fun to see what we can do with these masks. We'll actually probably do a couple repaint videos and stuff like that in the future. It's not about like, oh, that mask is crappy. These masks are really awesome. It's just about making them different and more personal and stuff like that. So we did want to touch on that as well, like I said, in the future. The clown also looks super cool. He's a little more blue. In fact, he's a lot more blue than the latex mask. The latex mask is white. But I think that's cool. In the episode, he looks blue sometimes, he looks white sometimes. Colors changed a lot in the Scooby-Doo Where Are You series, we all know. It's one of my favorite parts of the show, just finding when Shaggy's red all of a sudden or something. But anyways, these are awesome, cheaper alternatives to the latex masks. They're only 20 bucks. But if you're a mask fiend like me, you're probably going to get both of them like I did because they're super cool and worth having in the collection. Well, my plan was to go on about these masks forever, and I would have too if it wasn't for those meddling kids. Anyways, thanks a lot for joining us for another Mask Monday. Visit us at nightmaretoys.com. Let us know which of these is your favorite, which Scooby character you'd like to see added to the lineup. And as always, happy Mask Monday.